Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Oh boy. You know, I'm watching Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins literally close out Raw not even a minute ago. And as I'm watching this back and forth, I'm just thinking about recent WrestleManias and recent confrontations they've had. And it's rinse and repeat. It's the same shit over and over and over again. The only thing that will be different this time around is Roman Reigns may finally get that monkey wrench off his back and defeat Seth Rollins. You know, this constant, you know, there's three things in life: death, taxes, and the fact that Seth Rollins beats Roman Reigns. You know, we saw that with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. We've seen that with others. You know, somebody gets a winning streak. You know, eventually we'll see that with, you know, women's matches. Someone will have 2, 3, 4 wins in a row over someone, and that's done by design. And then finally they'll get that one match where, oh, I'm going to overcome this obsession that I can't beat you and blah, 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 blah. And I tell you, we had a fascinating conversation yesterday about SummerSlam. And, you know, SummerSlam is in 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks. Actually, what are we talking about? Hold on it for a second. Michael Cole said 3 weeks. Technically, it's a little over 2 weeks because next Monday would be the 20th of July. The following Monday would be the go-home Raw to SummerSlam. So there's only two Raws left going into SummerSlam. Yes. Yesterday was Sunday, so technically it's 3 weeks. I get it. But there's a big difference when you have 2 Raws left and 3 Raws left. So obviously, some point next week, we'll probably get Seth Rollins laid out on his back a little bit. And then the final week, if they keep following the trend, there'll be a little bit of respect thrown back and forth towards each other. And then it leads into the match. You know, yesterday we were having this fabulous conversation why SummerSlam tickets are doing so poorly. And make no mistake about it, it is doing poorly. 24,000 tickets, 23,000 tickets for each night in a stadium that holds 70,000+. You do not rent a 70 to 75,000 seat stadium to book it 1/3 full. Not for WWE. For AEW, Wembley, fine. For another wrestling company, you book a 10,000 seat stadium, an arena, you draw 2,000, fine. That happens. But not for WWE standards. There are other buildings that they could have done in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, in the surrounding areas that they could have had much less seating available. And, you know, I think I still have my notes in front of me from yesterday. Do I have my notes in front of me? Oh, yeah, I do. You know, we were looking at attendances. And I'm not going to repeat everything that we got into yesterday, but I will make 2 points. First of all, SummerSlam absolutely should not have been a 2-night event. And the logistics that we explained yesterday just summarizes it. You know, you have WrestleMania 3 months ago. It was only 3 months ago. But when does the road to WrestleMania start? You have a little teasers from Survivor Series. You start planting some seeds here and there. But it's usually right around the Royal Rumble time, the end of the year. And you start really building that road to WrestleMania. So you have Royal Rumble. And that's a very big event. You have Elimination Chamber, very big event. You have Saturday night's main event. You have Saudi Arabia sprinkled in with that. You have house shows. You have a holiday tour. You have the Road to WrestleMania tour. They, week after week, they do countdowns from like 90 days in advance. Everything is eat, sleep, shit WrestleMania for 3-4 plus months, nonstop. So by the time WrestleMania comes around, yes, we're kind of fatigued, but enough matches have had substantial build that there is some interest in it. Here, you have a case where WrestleMania just happened 3 months ago. You don't have the luxury of having a 3 to 4 month build where everything is eat, sleep, shit SummerSlam. There is no build. You can't. You had Italy. You had the last event that they did, and you have Saturday night's main event, which is going to try to add a little friction between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and this and that. But you look at the events that we have had. You have Backlash also. Backlash was supposed to piggyback WrestleMania. There has not been that build from a month, 2 months, 3 months to really penetrate these matches. They just feel thrown together. And it blows me away that I look at these matches. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar in Hell in a Cell by far is the only match I'm looking forward to. They have let the air out of the balloon with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins because we had the fucking biggest tag match of all time at WrestleMania. We had WWE Unreal episodes. We've had Shield teases and breakups and feuds and this and that for years and years and years and years and years. And this being thrown out of left field, it just feels thrown together. And why is this going to stand out more than what we've had in the past? Because Triple H says it in a tweet. You look at CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. This is something that was put together spur of the moment. And people are still kind of annoyed how we got to this point. You look at Liv Morgan and Io Sky. I get it. Rhea Ripley has the knee injury. But I got news for you, my friends. If you look on your screen right now, that is the updated poster for SummerSlam. They still have Rhea Ripley on that poster. And there is a chance that she still works SummerSlam. Now, she may not have a match. She may have a confrontation with someone. She may get involved with Io Sky versus Liv Morgan for all we know. But the thing is, all this feels thrown together. Chad Gable taking on Penta. Yeah, that's going to be a great match. But what do you read online? What excites people? Chad is going to win it in Minnesota? Am I supposed to cry? Like, if I'm his family and friends and they live in Minnesota, that's a nice moment for the homeboys and the homegirls out there. But for me, I don't care if he wins the title in Zimbabwe. I don't care if he wins it in New York. I don't care if he wins it in Minnesota. This just feels thrown together. And WWE did a shit job with Chad Gable once he returned from injury. The AAA stuff is what saved any momentum that Chad Gable had. He came back and he was nowhere near the popularity that he had prior to his injury. And yes, we're grateful for his injury because that gave us Ludwig Kaiser becoming El Grande Americano. Without Chad Gable's injury, we don't think that happens. So, it's strange how things lead to other things. But, even matches like Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley, why is that not a SummerSlam match? Right now, you only have 6 matches announced. That's another thing. How do you expect people to pay $150, $250, $500, $700? Even if you get the cheap seats, you go with a couple of your friends, you go with your wife and your kids, you go with just your kids and the wife stays home or the husband stays home. You're still paying, $500, $600, $700 to go. And you don't even know what matches are on each night. You could get away with that with WrestleMania because WrestleMania has that history that you have the 4 months of just eat, sleep, shit, everything. So it's very, 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 very extremely rare that WrestleMania doesn't deliver a good show. But you go to SummerSlam, you cannot ask people to pay that kind of coin and they have no idea what match they're getting for night 1 or night 2. Now, we expect Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns to be the main event for night 2. And that's why the ticket sales for a Sunday is usually bigger than a Saturday. You look at WWE's 2-night events, Sundays always do better than Saturdays. But even when we were talking about attendance yesterday, let this sink in. In 2025, SummerSlam was at the MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Yes, you had 53,000 on night 1 and 60,000 on night 2. But that was one less year of everything that's been delivered to us in the way it's been delivered. Some of these storylines were 1 year less. And when you get, the rinse and repeat and just bringing back the same old shit all over again, and now you see the bloodline stuff and there's no end in sight with that, even if you do get a couple of other people involved, TKO got greedy. TKO got greedy. In 2024, all right, from 2021 to 2024, SummerSlam was only one night, and the attendances were 57,000, 51,000, 48,000, and 45,000. So for 4 years straight, one-night events for SummerSlam was doing 45 to 50,000 plus. Why? Because it was one night. So you knew that the matches that they were teasing and the matches they were building, you were guaranteed to see. Now it's Russian roulette. Maybe I don't want to see Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. And I have to roll the dice hoping that it ends up on the night that I'm not going to be there. What if I want to see another particular match? There's no guarantee I'm going to get to see it on that night. And here's another thing. Fans in Minnesota are not paying for 2 nights in a row. Unless you're the fucking rich bitches that sit the first couple of rows. Those are the people that you'll see 2 nights in a row. But for everyone else, they got to choose one night or the other. That's why SummerSlam should have never been a 2-night event. Because now you have people that are just going to choose one or the other. And that's why the numbers are so close. If this would have been one night, they would have drew 45,000 fans. That would have been in line for the last bunch of years. And don't forget, before the pandemic, SummerSlam was in Barclays for 4 out of 5 years. And they did 16,000 for 5 years straight. If you add in Scottsdale, Scotiabank Arena in Canada, that did 16,000 fans also. So before the pandemic, SummerSlam was averaging 16,000. After the pandemic, it was averaging 53,000 for one night, though. So I'm not feeling SummerSlam at all. And here's another thing. For the people live in attendance, you're going to watch your matches. You're going to get, your money's worth for whatever night you decide to go. But if they keep doing this shitty ESPN setup, we might get Oba versus Brock Hell in a Cell within that first fucking hour. Because ESPN has been taking 1/3 of the pay-per-view, the premium live event, and putting it on free TV to try to get people to subscribe. Back in the day, you would have Sunday Night Heat, you would have a pre-show, AEW has the 0 hour and all this other stuff. And that's, to try to get you in the mood, like, yeah, I think I will order the event. ESPN, that hour should be a bonus besides the premium live event. Who the hell out there truly is going to watch an hour on free TV and then say, I'm going to upgrade and pay for the big membership so I could watch 3 more matches? We've only had 6 matches announced for a 2-night event, and we're only 2 Raws away from SummerSlam. This has been a horrible build, and I don't ever like to wish negative business on any company, but Here's something else. Prices for the tickets in Minnesota is significantly less than New York and New Jersey. It's not just the on-location packages. You have to look at Minnesota's economy compared to New York and New Jersey. The revenue that's being made is a fraction of what they made in New York and New Jersey. So to be honest with you, even though I don't like wishing bad business on anyone, I'm glad this shit's happening to WWE because their greed is starting to shoot them in the ass. And it just really pisses me off to see this, to watch Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And, you know, we've heard that speech from Seth Rollins for fucking years. We've heard this same shtick from Roman Reigns. The laugher, the comedy, the one-liners. He did the same shit with CM Punk, did the same shit with others. This is just out of nowhere. And then where does this leave? This leaves Roman Reigns now with a 4-month championship reign. And in those 4 months, he has mingled with Jacob Fatu and Seth Rollins. That's it. That's it. Now, if his going away party is fighting Obafemi or someone else, okay, fine. But right now, I'm sorry to say it, I don't care if Roman Reigns is on my television. Roman Reigns does nothing for me right now. He pulls up in an SUV, doesn't even have the title with him, does the same fucking thing. The people live in the arenas, of course they're going to react. When CM Punk, and by the way, for those that are interested, CM Punk just did an interview with Stephanie. And CM Punk brings up how, you know, the reaction in the building is much different than the reaction on the IWC online. And of course that's the case, because the people that are live in attendance are the hardest of the hardcore, that are, you're in their town, you're in their city, and you're spending money to go see this in person. Of course you're going to have a much better time. You know, when you see somebody performing in concert, and they don't sell all that well, but you watch the footage from the concert and every motherfucker that's there is having an amazing time. They're singing, they're dancing, they're looking stupid. And you say, wait, whoa, you know, everybody online's talking about poor ticket sales and didn't draw well and this and that, but look at the people there. They all have an amazing time. Yeah, because the people that are there are the ones that have so much faith in what you do that they're willing to put that kind of money on the table to see you perform. Of course, who the hell's going to go to a wrestling event and drop that kind of money and not be into the people that they're going to see? I mean, unless you're doing it to impress someone, you're going on a first date with someone and that person's a hardcore wrestling fan, let me impress them and take them to a wrestling event and pay top dollar so I can impress them, but me, I could care less. How many people you think do that? Not many. So you could turn around and say that the excitement is there. You look at a political rally, and we're not getting into politics, but I'll make my point. You look at a political rally, and you could choose anybody you want who has gotten their ass handed to them in an election. Handed to them in an election. Look over the years. It doesn't have to be president. It could be any election you want to choose. And you look at the people who got trounced, but you watch their rallies and you see 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 people show up and everybody is raging, having a great time. They're really, really into their candidate and they're fucking letting loose. So when someone says, well, you know what? I don't pay attention to the internet. I don't pay attention to social media. I'm doing my rallies and look at the thousands of people that are showing up and having an amazing time and they're really into this and they want to see me win. The problem is that the people that are there are the hardest of the hardcore and they don't represent the everyday person. They're not pleasing a shitload of people. And you could have 20,000 people losing their fucking minds in Minnesota. You could have 25,000. You could end up with 30,000 people on both nights losing their fucking mind at SummerSlam. But that's still 60% empty of a building. That means 60% of Minnesotans didn't have that excitement enough that they had to be there. So when you see ticket prices dropping, that happens every year. It happens with every promotion. The only reason why people have it under a microscope now is because of the amount of money that WWE is commanding. And I'm glad that this greed is starting to shoot them in the foot. I'm glad, because I am not excited for this at all. A 2-night event? I mean, first of all, covering it is a pain in the ass. And I'm sure it's going to be good, but I don't have a lot of energy invested in this. I just don't like the way the storylines have been set up and built. It's been cheap. Look at fucking SmackDown. We said it last Monday. Remember last Monday when I said, guys, I'm telling you, suddenly Nick Aldis is going to be back on SmackDown like nothing ever happened. And you realize that the only reason why they sent Nick Aldis and Gunther home was so them to try to make sense as to why Sami Zayn defended his championship on Raw. What moron, what GM of SmackDown would be a moron and turn around and say, I'm going to have them, unless Nick Aldis turned heel on Adam Pearce and said, see, I got CM Punk to take him on because I knew CM Punk would be forced to come to SmackDown, and now he's ours. Sorry, Sammy. Unfortunately, you lost your title, but we gained CM Punk on SmackDown now. Now, that's kind of a little bit of smartness, but they're not doing that. Gunther was sent home because they've been treating him, for the most part, like a clown. I mean, honestly, I followed Gunther, Walter, for many, many, many years. And despite retiring John Cena with the smiley tap, and despite retiring AJ Styles, and despite retiring, in WWE, Goldberg will wrestle again. But despite everything that they did, they've done nothing else. I still can't get over the fact after he lost the title to Jey Uso last year, he disappears for a few months, deserving rest. But the first thing you would think, I'm coming back for my championship. No, instead it's Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. Why? And then you look at this year, you see everything that's been going on. And then it's, let me mingle with Nick Aldis and let me, screw around with this and let me, and it's like, they're just using him horribly. And then you do these stupid storylines where this person is sent home and this person does this and this person does this. And once you get that stupidity and we figured out a way to get him on Raw. Then all of a sudden, poof, they magically reappear like nothing ever happened. And I just not excited for this. Not excited for this at all. I don't know how you guys feel, but I will definitely share some of your comments. But we'll recap Raw a little bit. We'll get into some wrestling news. We got a few things that are pretty interesting. One thing that we can finally put a date on, and that is the return of Big Kaz and Enzo. Today on Raw, they aired a vignette, and all it was like a 6 foot. I don't know how tall Big Kaz is. I don't know if he's like 6'8", 6'6", but it certainly looks like a silhouette of Big Kaz. And it has the date in the background, August 3rd, which is the night after SummerSlam. So next week, we expect to see another vignette. Maybe another person will be with them. And, one thing that tells you is that they'll probably be back on Raw. They did the date for August 3rd, which is Monday Night Raw. So Big Kaz and Enzo will be back on WWE television. By the way, talking about tag teams, I like continuity. I like things to make sense. Explain to me why the Street Profits didn't come out there trying to beat the living shit out of the Vision tonight on Raw after what happened last week. Please just release them. Seriously. They're not even on Raw tonight. They've been misused for years. And just because you get a little flurry here and there and they could do amazing shit in the ring, just when you think like, oh, they're finally going to do these people right, or Montez Ford right, especially, they're brought back, they win the tag titles, and then you realize that the only reason why they won the titles is so they could figure out a way for Maxine Dupree to make sense to be in the Vision. You can't just have it appear that Maxine Dupree is fooling around with Austin Theory. And I already have to deal with the numbnuts on IWC. She just got married. She just got engaged. How can you do that in a storyline? Say it to any motherfucker that's on a TV show, a soap opera, or in a movie when they're kissing someone else. That person just got married. I fucking hate that nonsense. It's a storyline, stupid. Everything's a storyline on TV. Polacks. How many of you out there get upset every week when I say Polacks? DT, that's a fucking awful word to use. Polacks. Who the hell would use the term Polacks? For the people that are on audio only right now, I have a picture of Otis and Tozawa from today's Raw. And Otis is once again referring to himself as what, the Polak hunk? He actually has a shirt that says Polak on it. Polak. Please don't get too deep with your offenses out there. It's not that deep. There's no maliciousness, hate. But when I saw that shirt today, I was like, and that used to be a nickname that Otis used to have. But the Otis stuff today, it's like, okay, how do we get sympathy, heat on Otis? Oh, he falls for another really extremely infit blonde that wouldn't fuck him even if he offered her $1,000 and she was a heroin addict on the corner. Like, that's really what you got to do with Otis. You know, he thinks that he's going to profess his love. And it's just, I hate that they do that. You know, but again, no Street Profits tonight. That's it. They're just off TV again, like nothing. I saw a lot of people today complaining about Joe Hendry getting eliminated in the first round of the gauntlet. Even though the perception is that WWE is not doing a great job with Joe Hendry, I did check this before we went live. He's only had 3 singles matches since he's been on the main roster. He's only been in 3 singles matches, and that was his first loss. Clean. Singles. You know, technically it was a singles match tonight. The other 2 matches he had, he beat Austin Theory twice. So that's his first loss. But it sure feels like he's been jobbed out, right? It certainly feels like Joe Hendry's had like 15 losses on the main product. No, that's his first singles loss as far as a one-on-one match goes. But let's talk about a few other things. Oh, very quickly, I just wanted to make a mention of this. If you go to my X account, at Don Tony D, I have a link up that I shared. If anybody that's been a longtime supporter of the shows, especially if you've ever been part of our Patreon family, or even when we used to do watch parties, a lot of you know a gentleman by the name of Joe Penches, good friend of the family. His brother has got some serious shit going on with medical bills and financial stuff and everything. And over the weekend, I sent a nice little contribution from all of us, from some of the super shout outs that we've built over the last couple of weeks. So if anybody out there, that's him with his kids. If anybody out there wants to go check out the GoFundMe, I have the link on my X page and you can read what's going on with him. So, you know, it's a very small GoFundMe, just enough to take care of, you know, some medical shit going on. And the thing, I'm not trying to get anybody to donate. Please do not. If it's within your means, fine. But if it's not, you know, maybe just retweet it to someone else. But I will say this, you know, some doctors out there, technically a hospital has to treat you. But if you have a doctor, even a private doctor, and you owe money and you're backlogged on money, and you're not paying your bills, I don't know how far they could go with it, but I would think that a doctor could say, listen, I can't keep treating you. You're not paying your bills. When it's a private practice, it's a little bit different. So if you want to go check it out, by all means. So, we found out that Survivor Series is returning as we expected, but something else is also returning. And that is going to be WarGames. They are bringing back WarGames for a 5th straight year. And when I was working on the thumbnail for this episode, I was taking screenshots of the WarGames for the last 5 years. And with the exception pretty much for one of the last 4 years, it has been dominated by Bloodline. Jey Uso, I think, might have been in every single one of them. And people are fearing that we are going to get an all Bloodline WarGames this year. I honestly don't know how I feel about that. You know, that pisses me off because that tells us, you know, that's the end of November. That is the end of November. That's Thanksgiving time. We're only in July. We're going to have to deal with 4 more months of this shit. You know, I don't care about the Bloodline anymore. I mean, they're trying to figure out ways to keep it fresh. And now we have the 6-man tag set for SummerSlam. For those that missed Raw tonight, this is a match that they added. And it's the Usos and Jacob Fatu taking on Royce Keys, Solo Sikoa, and LA Knight. And if you saw SmackDown, you saw the swerve where Solo Sikoa made it seem like he was going to rejoin the Bloodline just to hit the spike on Jimmy Uso. And now we're getting this random match at SummerSlam. And here we go again with LA Knight. I mean, this is Groundhog Day for how many years now with this LA Knight stuff? He cuts great promos, and it feels like he's shooting, but he's not. I mean, he's getting paid comfortably, and this is his role. And this shit don't want to end. It don't. And what gets proven out of all of this? Jacob Fatu is going to suddenly break bread with the Usos. They're going to tease a little dissension there. Next thing you know, we're going to be in the month of August, and you're going to still see Bloodline shit going on. And Jey Uso hasn't even been on TV the last couple of weeks, for the most part. They're probably giving him a little bit of time to clear his head because of the divorce stuff. And speaking of the divorce stuff, if you want a funny follow-up, you know, we were the first people online to expose TMZ for posting a fan Instagram account, and we made fun of it. And then if you do the search on X, just search TMZ Jey Uso. We were the first and one of the only people that even brought that up. They started spreading around that Jey Uso was on record saying that she's about to take half my property, Us. And not only was it a fake fan Instagram account, but I found out after that the fan uses AI pictures. That's an AI picture of Jey Uso. That's not even real, that photo. So we took TMZ to task. And even the last 2 days, I'm not trying to get into politics, but anybody that follows politics, look up what TMZ did with Mitch McConnell and the other guy that just died, Lindsey Graham. Go look at the shit. Who they hiring there? I mean, I get it. You look at a lot of these wrestling news sites, and they hire anybody to do stuff. And by the way, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to break down Dave Meltzer's newsletter a little bit more to try to show you why all this research, with all due respect, with all this research that he claims to do, that WrestleNomics claims to have done, I'm starting to show you that all this information you can pull up yourself. It's yours for the taking. No one has scoops. None of these people have connections to Nielsen or anything else, and I got news for you. For anyone out there that doesn't like Dave Meltzer, and I'm not trying to play gotcha, but I teased a big thing that's coming in the next day from Dave Meltzer with ratings. I teased something today. Some of you saw it on my X page, but I want you to look at this tweet that I sent to Dave Meltzer earlier today. I already read the article because I still subscribe to his newsletter. I haven't canceled it yet. Dave Meltzer's coming out with an article tomorrow, and in fairness, because this is his living, of course I'm going to let him put out the article first before I react to it, but he's going to put out this article to try to convince you that Raw's numbers, that Netflix is fudging numbers, there we go again, but not only that, the way he starts computing stuff, he wants you to believe that AEW Dynamite is sometimes less than 100,000 viewers less than Raw. He comes up with this word salad that's fucking amazing. But when you start reading the article, keep in mind you're going to have 100 wrestling news sites that are going to report this as news. So when he gets into this word salad about ratings tomorrow, I wrote back to Dave and I said, do you feel Flix Patrol is a trusted, viable source for day one numbers? He did not answer. He answers everything else. If you say that Yoshi Kwan, is it true that he banged some rat in Texas back in 1977, he'll be up there 5 minutes later telling you all about it. I wrote that to him and he didn't even respond. And there's a reason why he didn't respond. Because no one, not WrestleNomics, not WrestleTix, not WrestleDix, not Dick's Sporting Goods, no one out there has ever mentioned the word Flix Patrol before. I threw it out there as a little nugget because I want Dave to realize I'm on you. I'm on top of what you're doing. And when I educate all of you on Wednesday what Flix Patrol is and what they are not, you're going to realize that all of this word salad that Dave keeps trying to tell you about Netflix and Raw and Dynamite and stuff like that, a lot of it is sourced from Flix Patrol. Flix Patrol. So I'll share something with you right now. You're going to kick out. You know what? Before I share with you, I have to do a random photo. I have a random photo because, obviously I have still loads of wrestling cards on my desk over here. I don't know. Oh, yeah, look, I still have, and some people think I'm perverted, I have the Kiss card of Nia Jax, her rookie card and everything, and it's limited to 25. If you guys ever go on Google, search this card. I'm mentioning this not to brag I have the card, but I'm mentioning it for a reason. You look up this card, pay close attention to Nia Jax's physique. She is skinny. Skinny, skinny, skinny. You look at that waist, I think she's skinnier than my wife. And I'm not trying to fat shame or anything like that, but I'm bringing it up for a point. Have you seen the pictures recently of Nia Jax? This is not a doctored photo. Nia Jax was spotted in an elevator over the weekend, and she posed for a picture. That is not touched up. There are multiple pictures online. That is Nia Jax now. And I don't know why, but people think that they're taking shots because she's on Ozempic or Wegovy or Zepbound. Oh, it's the GLP effect. Yeah, she's doing something about it. So what? She's taking Ozempic. For some reason, people out there think because someone is trying to improve their body, yeah, they're using medicine to help them, but she's also, trying to take care of herself. You look at Bronson Reed. You see someone heavy, you make a comment about it, and you get all these people that will go vicious on you and say, stop fat shaming. That's disgusting. You're awful. You're this, you're that. Until the person actually starts dropping the weight. And I guarantee you it's not just because they look better in their eyes, but it's less pressure on the joints. It's less stress on your heart. It's less stress on your organs. It's not healthy to be that heavy. Trust me, I battle with weight big time. I'm a far cry from 365, but still. So when you see this, that give her credit, man. Give her credit. You want to call it superficial, call whatever you want. But that's someone who is not happy with the way they felt and the way they looked, and they did something about it. And that should be commended and praised, not mocked, because that's the new thing I see now. You support anybody who has a red hat on because they want the country better and may not like the president. And people turn around and say, well, I guess you support a president that likes to play with kids. And now it's with the fat shame. It's like, well, that's because of GLP-1s and this and that. Just shut up. Improve your own life. People are always trying to shoot someone down for no reason whatsoever. So now we have a little fun. I'm going to share my screen for a second. And this is YouTube related. And I'm going to read word for word what a lot of wrestling news sites put out today. Roger.com, ProWrestling.net, and all these other people out there. And they're all reporting that Dave Meltzer revealed the top 10 most viewed AEW videos and WWE videos for the month of June, complete with stats and everything else. That this is some type of an exclusive because it's a newsletter. It's just like when people report that WrestleNomics said that Collision drew 395,000. No, they're not. They didn't report that. They took it from Programming Insider. Programming Insider reported it. You're just copying and pasting what they copy and pasted from. So when you see, Dave Meltzer reveals this, I want to read you word for word how these reporters reported it. I want you to look at the screen because this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful, and I can't finagle this. This is not fake whatsoever. I promise you this will be a treat. Then we'll recap Raw, and we'll get into a few other things. So hopefully this goes without a hitch. This is my screen right now. You see my mouse? See my mouse? We're playing around. I'm doing a number one. It's okay. So we got the search box here for WWE. So I'm going to pull up this article. You can see I'm pulling up the article. These are my Raw notes. Let's pull up the article. Okay, the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Okay, so I'm going to move this article to the side so you don't see it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the article. And when I read the article, I'm going to share my screen on YouTube. And I want you to just pay very close attention to the YouTube screen as I talk. All right, so all we're going to do is in the search box, we're going to type in WWE, hit enter. And now what we want to do is we want to go to filters. And we want to look for the videos from this month, obviously. And then we want to arrange it by popularity. So now what happens is you get the most popular WWE videos that have been posted for the last month, for the month of June. Now, obviously, not a lot of these are going to be WWE channels. You have to pay attention to only the ones that WWE put out. Like, for example, see this one right here? This is the first one that comes out. Okay, this is the first one that comes out. All right, so now we pull up. Hold on, I got to get to, let's filter this. Okay, we're doing this month. It's going to be videos. I don't think they have to be over 20 minutes, but let's see. Let's pull this up. Oh, this was only 1 hour ago, so why are these are, okay, hold on a second. Okay, see, these are videos that just came out. So YouTube will always put videos that just came out on the top. The top video is not 36,000 views. So now you go over here, okay? You see here? Here is now for the last month. You see Night of Champions, 1.9 million viewers. Now, I'm going to read this article and watch the screen. Now, only pay attention to the videos from WWE's channel. The latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter has revealed the most viewed YouTube videos for the month of June, highlighting the popularity of Night of Champions and several men's storylines. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Night of Champions topped the June rankings with 1.85 million views. Highlights from the Night of Champions. The second most watched video featured Brock Lesnar challenging Obafemi in a Hell in a Cell match, which drew 1.51 million views. Additionally, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' face-to-face confrontation from the June 29th edition of WWE Raw ranked third with 1.41 million views. In fourth place, Jacob Fatu acknowledged Roman Reigns following his loss in Clash of Italy, attracting 1.27 million views. That's down here. Okay, that's down here. Because remember, this newsletter came out a week ago. So you see Obafemi advancing to the King of the Ring final is now moved up. Okay, Obafemi's victory over Dominic Mysterio in the King of the Ring placed fifth with 1.23 million views, while Obafemi's confrontation with Jey Uso, there you go over here, garnered 1.21 million views. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther from the June 19th episode of SmackDown came in with 1.2 million views. Where's Cody Rhodes? Let's see. We probably moved up a little bit. Let's see. Where maybe he got that wrong. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther, 1.2 million views. But you see what I mean? All he did was go on YouTube, type in WWE in the search box, and put it in order. Now, we're going to get to AEW. The AEW one will be more accurate because those views are not as big, so the numbers don't change all that much. So we're going to do AEW for this month, and we'll go to popularity. Okay, so now we look for the AEW. Now, not everything is obviously wrestling related. You see this one? You Are Dead. That's not AEW. See, they'll even post things that are not even AEW. Okay, so here's the first All Elite Wrestling one. You see this one? Andrade betrays MJF. See, 493,000 views. Okay, here's the article for anybody that doesn't believe me. You see over there in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. Okay, ready? Here we go. The latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter has revealed the top 10 most viewed YouTube videos from All Elite Wrestling for the month of June. Notably, the Forbidden Door cage match storyline was the highlight. Leading the list was Andrade's betrayal of MJF inside a steel cage of Forbidden Door, which became AEW's most watched YouTube upload in June, attracting 479,000 views. The second most viewed video featured highlights of Will Ospreay's victory over Swerve Strickland, garnering 391,000 views. Jay White's return ranked third. There you go. There's Jay White's with 316,000 views. AEW Forbidden Door continued to dominate beyond the top three. Another clip showing Leo Rush. Let's find Leo Rush. Let's go down the list. We got to look up All Elite Wrestling. Well, this was this week, so that came out. Here's Leo Rush. There you go. Remember, his newsletter is written a week early. All right, here we go. Here's Leo Rush. Leo Rush interfering during a cage match amassed 175,000 views, with additional highlights from the same cage match garnering another 125,000 views. And then it talks about highlights from Will Ospreay's match, and this is all this is. That's all it is. Remember, he puts his list out a week early. So he's looking at numbers for a week ago. But when you have these reports telling you that he has exclusive, he's revealed this list, any day during the week, all you have to do is go on YouTube, type in AEW, put it for the last month, and search it by popularity. Only focus on the All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel and the WWE channel. Take note, he never gives you the top 10 for TNA. You know why he doesn't give you the top 10 for TNA? Because TNA puts out tons and tons of old shit every week. And a lot of the old shit dominates their video views. So if he puts up a top 10 list, he's going to be putting up matches with AJ Styles from 15 years ago. So he doesn't even bother putting the TNA list up there because a lot of the top videos aren't even shit from today. So I want you to just know this. I'm not saying that, he doesn't work. But what I'm saying is when you see all these websites saying he revealed this and he exposed this and he put this out, all you do is just go there and search and look at the list. And there you go. This is what someone is charging you money for. And they're trying to make it seem like they have some exclusive thing. That's why, like I said, the quarter-hour ratings were always a figment of somebody's imagination. When you break it down, and trust me, when we get into Pics, whatever that website is, Wednesday, we're going to get into, and I guarantee you, Dave doesn't answer my question, because I've realized that that's where Dave is getting his figures from. When I reveal Wednesday a little bit more about that channel, you will understand why Dave gets it so wrong. The worst part about it is, and I'll give you a little teaser now, when you see all the wrestling, and this is carelessness on the wrestling journalist also, because the wrestling journalists, even if they're not the one to break the story and they're taking it from Meltzer or somebody else, their job is to research and confirm if this is true or dispel if it's false. They just post it and that's it. But they're careless also, and I'll tell you why. Because they're going to put out tomorrow about the Netflix numbers, and this can't be right because then that means that Raw the first day only had this viewership and the day one numbers this and that. Here's a little teaser for Wednesday. This Flix channel does not report live streams. They only report video on demand. So when we tune in to Monday Night Raw live from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then Fred Flintstone, Dick Pics, Flick Pics, whatever that website is that posts the top 10 for a particular day, and Raw's at the top of the list. Raw is at the top of the list because of the video on demand requests, not because of the live stream that aired between 8 p.m. and 10:40 p.m. on a Monday night. Think I'm wrong? Google it, AI it, look at their frequently asked questions. That website does not post numbers from live streams. That's why you never get max numbers. And that place does report max numbers. They don't report live numbers. So when you read this, whether it's his newsletter or other websites tomorrow, remember that point. He will not answer it. He won't even acknowledge that he's getting it from that place. So I'm going to break it to you all on Wednesday. It's my job to do this because no one else wants to do it. I know it's not sexy, but I kind of think that you should know, where this information is coming from. I'm in my 50s now. I've been on the internet since the 90s. All right. I did wrestling news for 15 years. All right. I know how people will get court documents and this and that and, get news before a lot of others. And somehow they get little digs that no one else seems to get right away. I know all the ins and outs. Doesn't mean that people don't have context. PW Insider has sources in WWE. Whether I like PW Insider or not, they do have context there. Fightful had sources. Even Wade Keller, to an extent, has one or two clowns that still are involved with these companies. But for the most part, a lot of these exclusive things is either just figments of somebody's imagination or interpretations. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous because if you do a Google search, you do an AI search, you search anywhere online and say, what are AEW's Dynamite's ratings on Max? 99% of the time, you will get the answer, approximately 500,000 viewers. And when you ask, please source me the source of that information, and they will direct you to a Reddit post by BJ Bethel. When people say the same thing enough times, it's perceived to be true. Max and Warner Brothers Discovery has never revealed AEW Dynamite streaming numbers on Max. Never did. One Pollock decided that he was going to put that number out there, and because AEW is not a publicly traded company and Tony Khan is a billionaire child, I heard from other people that number is true. That's why everybody goes along with it. So it's dangerous because people say it enough times, it's perceived to be true, and that's madness. That is madness. And what pisses me off, what I hate about AI, I'm not a big fan of AI. I will use it as a tool to help me, streamline some of my work so I don't have to spend 8 hours to do something. Well, what I hate about AI is when it gives me information that I know is wrong, especially shit like that. And then I write back and say, but Reddit is a message board. So you're telling me that somebody's random post, and they'll always write back, you are absolutely correct. My apologies. And that happens over and over and over again. You cannot trust AI to be the be-all, end-all. It could be one of many ways to research, but when you start breaking this stuff down, you realize there's a lot of people out there that are desperately trying to make money and making it seem like they got a whole bunch of research. I told you, look at WrestleTix. WrestleTix, when they talk about tickets distributed, all they do is count dots. I know that sounds retarded, but that's what they do. They count dots. They have no contacts at Ticketmaster. They don't call up, hey, Amy, how many tickets were distributed for WWE Raw since last week? Oh, it was 170. No, they just count dots. And then what they do is they screenshot it, and then they compare from the week earlier, and all they do is they look at the other dots that are no longer blue. Oh, and that's how the number changed. That's all they do. Way back in the day, we used to do the same shit. Remember when we used to count the numbers for TNA? When they would have the softball fields and they draw 111 in a 7,000-seat baseball's minor league stadium? That's how we used to do it. We used to count the dots. That's all they do is count dots. All right. Okie doke. So, all right. We talked about Survivor Series. Oh. One last thing. And then we'll get into Raw. This is definitely worth bringing up. Club WWE. For the last 3 months, we've been trying to figure out what Club WWE was all about. We were trying to guess, like, what do you get? How much is it going to cost? Well, today, I got an interesting email that I could be a founding father for Club WWE if I give them $99. That's how much the membership will be. And in case anyone out there needs a little refresher, this is what we said 3 months ago. You know what? Club WWE has to be a yearly subscription. I think $99.99 is, I think that is, I don't want to say it's reasonable. I don't know if I would spend that. Like, really, what am I getting? Like, I'm going to get exclusive footage to a video that somebody's going to post on social media a half hour later anyway. I'm going to get, the offer to buy tickets that I'm not going to buy. I'm going to get exclusive access for John Cena merchandise. The Never Seen 17, I probably haven't bought one since it was, I don't know. I can't remember the last time I bought a Cena merchandise. I have no interest in that. If you think about it, what actually am I getting? I honestly think I'm a founding member. Now, what happens 6 months from now? Are you still a founding member? What happens if you have 50,000 subscriptions by then? You're no longer a founding member. What are you, just a member? So I don't know. I think $100 a year. Because think about it, you're not getting much. You'll probably get like a video, not necessarily directed to you, but that they'll probably, Danhausen will probably do videos. Hey, Club WWE, how's everybody doing? You get the opportunity to buy this shirt. Well, in a couple of weeks, we will know. And I'll be one of the first to know because I have the opportunity to be a founding member. So that's pretty much what we thought 3 months ago. So for $99, this is what they told us today. You will get exclusive content, superstar shows and interview exclusives, video, and extended wrestling content you can't find anywhere else. Get exclusive access to ticket pre-sales, flash discounts, and members-only live events. Own gear no one else has. John Cena's Never Seen 17 collection, plus flash discounts, a digital community forum, and credits that could be redeemed for prizes. $99. I'll be honest with you. I consider myself a founding member of Club WWE because I've been watching that shit since 1979. I don't think I'm going to buy it. I'm just giving away $100. I don't give a shit about the videos. Somebody will post it a few hours later. I'm not, like, nothing's going to be directed towards me. I'm not going to get a Christmas card in the mail from Maxine Dupree. You know, I'm not going to get a personalized video from someone. I'm going to get, like, hey, you're the first to spend $45 on this shirt. No, thank you. No, thank you. Hey, welcome to Club WWE. Did you see how Danhausen cursed the wrong ring post today? With the Dominic Mysterio stuff? I thought that was funny. But what was the purpose of J.D. McDonough walking down to the ringside, to the rampway? Danhausen's holding his fucking, like, flamethrower type device. I don't think he shot it, right? Like, Dominic gets rolled up, and that's it. J.D. McDonough somehow got eviscerated. He just disappeared. We got nothing out of it. But I think we could recap Raw now. We got a couple other tidbits of news. We got to talk about the WWE jet that's for sale and a couple other things. But we could talk a little Raw first. Not a bad show. I tell you, one thing about the Obafemi-Brock Lesnar confrontation today that I liked. I wish it would have been something Obafemi said 2 or 3 weeks ago. He said something tonight on Raw that I thought made the most sense out of everything. Let's recap Raw, if you don't mind. It was in Dallas, Texas today. Very lively crowd. Brock Lesnar opens up the show with Paul Heyman. Brock, nice pop from the crowd. Loud Oba chants. The fans are just into Oba. And I thought this was Oba's best promo performance yet. Best promo performance yet. They're there with a couple of indie wrestlers portraying to be police, which is ridiculous, especially after what Oba did to them. I mean, I could get really, really politically incorrect right now, but I don't think I want to. But Paul Heyman gets on the mic, Brock Lesnar's in the ring, and there's a couple of police officers there. Paul mentions how Oba turned down a title match at SummerSlam for a match with Brock. He accuses Obafemi of being a stalker. He says that's Klinger number 9 territory. Look that up if you don't know what that is. He calls Oba a big Nigerian dummy. And I know that triggered some people on social media. I saw the comments. And Paul says that not only is Oba obsessed with Brock, but Brock is obsessed with Obafemi. And Paul Heyman starts going into the shtick. He's like, I call Brock, hey, how's the hunting doing? I don't care about the hunting. I just want to get my hands on Obafemi. Hey, Brock, how's your training doing? Fuck the training. I just want to get my hands on Obafemi. And he says that this is unhealthy and it's going to lead to violence. And to protect his buddy, his advocate, Brock Lesnar, he got a restraining order against Obafemi. So Oba cannot go within 100 feet of Brock Lesnar, which was obviously immediately broken tonight on Raw. But not only did Paul Heyman get a restraining order on Obafemi, he got one on Brock. Brock is standing and confused. And by the way, this is Brock Lesnar's new shirt. Talk shit, get hit. They have not censored the word shit all that much. You know, they've realized, oh, we'll let 1 or 2. That'll still be within guidelines. And that's the permission of some other countries also. If you remember my conversation about Braun Breaker's head being blurred out on Netflix last Wednesday or the Wednesday before, you know the deal. A lot of people still haven't reported to you accurate information on that. But the shit word can pass through censors a little bit. So Paul Heyman reveals he got a restraining order against Brock that Brock cannot get within 100 feet of Oba. And that's to protect Oba. And he says that Brock is a law-abiding citizen and he will obey it. And what happens, Obafemi's music hits. And Oba hits the ring. And Brock Lesnar didn't do anything. Brock Lesnar just standing there. So Olba immediately violated the order of protection because Olba was within about 30 feet of Brock Lesnar. So Brock gets out of the ring. And Olba, great promo tonight. Olba starts losing it. And he says, you know, you used to run this show. Now you just run away. And he's thrown a lot of shade to Brock Lesnar and what he's going to do at SummerSlam. And before Olba starts beating the fuck out of the police officers, which was funny in itself, Olba said something that was perfect. And I wish they would have said it 3 weeks ago. Olba said that even if he would have had his title shot at SummerSlam, he knew that Brock Lesnar would have ruined it for him. I mean, common sense, we all thought that. But when you hear it come out of Olba's mouth, it makes the storyline 100% make sense. When people were complaining 2-3 weeks ago, why would you give up? Why would you in the King of the Ring tournament? Why did you give it up? Olba immediately could have said, even if I take the title shot, he's going to ruin it for me. So I'd rather beat his ass in Minnesota. Not where he was born. We need to keep reminding people that. Everybody thinks that Brock Lesnar was born in Minnesota. He's going to retire in his hometown. Oh, boy. People need to Google a little bit more. So Olba is now supposed to be arrested because he violated the order of protection. So Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman quietly leave the ring, and Paul Heyman tells the police officers, do your job. And you see these indie wrestlers, and one of them looked like, I can't remember the basketball player's name from the Nets. I can't remember his name right now, but one or two of them look like fucking basketball players. And they're obviously indie wrestlers. And he looks at one, and Olba Femi picks him up and just throws him over the top rope. And this guy lands flat on his wrists. Then he starts fucking powerbombing, clotheslining. I mean, just beating the living shit out of these police officers. And it looks ridiculously stupid because you want to give the perception that it's police. And here's Olba Femi doing what he's doing. Just not very good at all. But doesn't mean that Olba didn't do a spectacular job. Olba looked scary. Olba's promo felt real. And it really intensified that match at Hell in a Cell. That match has to deliver. It has to deliver at Hell in a Cell. And I think it will. Like I said, out of all the matches that have been announced for for SummerSlam, Olba versus Brock, Hell in a Cell, is the only match that I'm really looking forward to. And I'm praying to fucking the ESPN gods that it's not the first hour free on some network. I don't care that it's free. I don't care that everybody could watch it. What I care about is the placement of the match. You know, I like anticipation. There's a reason why when you watch certain movies, you know, the climax is at the end of the movie, not at the beginning of the movie. And when you watch a porn flick, you don't have, you know, the orgasm first and then you just chill and talk for the next hour. You know, you want to build to a conclusion. When you watch Rocky movies or, you know, whatever, Apollo Creed or whatever the fucking movies they have out now, you know, it starts with some negativity in the beginning and it just builds and builds and builds and then get to the end of the movie and you get the result that everybody wants and everybody loses their minds. When you watch a horror film and ultimately the bad guy gets killed at the end, doesn't always remain that way, but you know, you don't just have it happen in the beginning of a movie and then you just do other shit for the rest of the movie. You want it to build to something. You know, there's a formula. You know, you watch chapters, you read a book, you want the chapters to be in order. And I just feel that you put something on that fucking early, it loses to me, the worst example for me remains when they did the Royal Rumble. And so many of us thought that Braun Breaker was going to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm fine that he didn't win. I don't care about that. But to turn around and have him come out number one and get taken out before the match even started, what that told me was WWE basically sending a message to all the fans out there, for all of you out there that thought that he was going to win the whole thing. We're not going to let you stay in suspense for a full hour. We're going to fucking take the air out of the balloon 60 seconds in. And now you can focus on someone else instead. I fucking hated that. To me, it just was like, oh, well, all right, I guess that's it. You know, it's like when you go to the racetrack and you have these bets on all these things and you want to bet like the daily double of this and that, and the first race, like your horse loses, and then you're like, oh, I guess all these other tickets don't mean shit now. Or you play lotto and you have, you know, one or two favorite numbers that you put on every fucking ticket, and the number doesn't come out. It's like, all right, I guess all this is shit now. You know, I hate taking the air out of the balloon that quickly. And it was done intentionally. So, all right. So that was a tremendous statement. I love the opening. And the Oba stuff made total sense to me. So now we had Io Sky defeat Roxanne Perez, as we expected. They did go back to the storyline where Io's leg is not 100%. That probably will become a factor in SummerSlam with that match. Remember when we talked about betting odds yesterday? The betting odds are another reason why people are not as excited for SummerSlam. When yesterday you had 5 matches announced, and the lowest odds for the matches was 80-something%. When you have 4 out of 5 matches where the odds are 90% and above, when you already know who's going to win these matches, it kind of takes the air out of the balloon even more. I mean, we get it. There's rare exceptions. When Roman Reigns had his historic run, 9 times out of 10, we knew that Roman was going to retain in a lot of these matches. The Cody Rhodes matches were probably the only ones that we were really swerved about. Brock Lesnar, maybe a little bit of a threat, but Daniel Bryan, no shot. Kevin Owens, no shot. Sami Zayn, no shot. Jey Uso, no shot. I could go on and on and on. You know, no one in their right mind truly thought that any of them were a threat to Roman Reigns, but we still wanted to watch it anyway because the whole storyline and everything around it was so good that we just wanted to see how they got to that conclusion with the match. But when every match that's been announced and the winners have an 80 to 90% chance of winning, well, you know, it kind of like ruins a little bit of suspense. When you have odds 50-50, to me, that's when it's the best because you can't predict the winner. And you're literally there stumped. And you're like, I can't fucking predict the winner. To me, that's when wrestling sometimes is at its greatest. When you're literally watching something and it could go either way. To me, that's when wrestling is the most fun. You know, suspension of disbelief. When you already know what the outcome is going to be, you know, it kind of spoils it in a lot of ways. 1 match, 2 matches, fine. But when every match is so lopsided, yeah, I honestly think, you want to know something? So far, I think Chad Gable and Penta, that match might be the most even odds out of maybe all the matches they announced for SummerSlam. I have a feeling that may be pretty much 50-50 because Penta could easily retain and Chad Gable could easily win, especially they're in Minnesota. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Io Sky defeats Roxanne Perez. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez at ringside, getting involved in a little bit with this. Io won with the fruit roll-up. After the match was over, Liv Morgan tries to get involved. Io basically fights her off. Then Roxanne hits her with a chop block. Then you start getting the beatdown on Io Sky. Sol Ruca comes in to make the save. And Raquel slams Sol Ruca into the barricade. And when Io Sky looked up and saw that Sol Ruca was laid out, here's where Liv Morgan hits Io with Oblivion. And they basically stand over Io Sky. And it's interesting because when you look at it like that and you keep having Io laid out on her back, you start to think to yourself, I think Io has a legitimate shot at winning this championship. Right now, Liv Morgan, I think, is 85% odds on favorite to win. We get a recap of the bloodline infighting that took place on SmackDown. And that would lead to a match today, or it was so fucking random. I'm still trying to understand why Royce Keeves was on Raw tonight. But anyway, we had next the segment with the Vision. And it was really good and at times really bad. But we had the Vision come out and they're in the ring, minus Paul Heyman. And there is a little news there about Paul Heyman, which I'll explain in a moment. But they're in the ring, and Logan Paul is laughing at something at ringside. And we knew that Tozawa and Otis were going to come out. But I don't know if he was laughing because Otis was wearing a Pollock shirt. But they come out, and they get in the ring. And, Tozawa immediately is cutting a promo. And obviously Tozawa knows how to talk a little bit. But, he sounds like a child. Maxine, what are you doing? He's all wrong for you. And Maxine is getting "you sold out" chants from the fans. And Maxine reveals that Alpha Academy is the one that gave her the ultimatum. Alpha Academy is the one that told Maxine Dupree it's either him or us. And she chose Austin Theory. And Otis grabs the mic and he has to say something to Maxine. And he gets into that shy bullshit that we've seen over the years. He's reluctant. He wants to say something and he stops, and he says something and he stops. He's looking down, almost blushing, and Austin Theory starts laughing. And Austin Theory was kind of putting words in Otis's mouth. And I was hoping, please don't go that route because it's dumb. Austin Theory thinks that Otis is about to profess his love for Maxine Dupree. And apparently Otis had the hots for Maxine. And that could be a whole disturbing storyline in itself if you think about Otis in the privacy of his own locker room and, just thinking about Maxine Dupree. That could get very, very sick very quickly. So Austin Theory is laughing and saying this, and I'm saying to myself, I hope they don't go that way. And they did go that way. Because Maxine Dupree is trying to get Austin Theory to stop making fun of him and this and that. And Maxine Dupree wanted to have the conversation with Alpha Academy in the ring by herself. But Austin Theory hits the ring and is making fun of Otis, and Otis had enough. So Otis starts attacking Austin Theory. Then Braun Breaker gets involved. Logan Paul can't do anything because of the injury. Tozawa tries to get involved. And the Vision toss Tozawa like a salad over the announcer's table. And Tozawa is going to be out for a couple of minutes. So now you get Otis getting double teamed in the ring by Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. Suddenly, Otis starts getting a little bit of a rebound and gets the upper hand, and he actually tosses Braun Breaker out of the ring. So now it's just Maxine Dupree in one corner, and you have Otis in another corner, and Austin Theory in the far right corner. And Otis is slowly walking towards Austin Theory. And Otis, as he's about to hit Austin Theory, Maxine Dupree gets in the middle. not necessarily like Macho Man used to do with Miss Elizabeth, because Miss Elizabeth would do this in WCW. Miss Elizabeth would purposely get in the middle, so you couldn't put your hands on the man. In WCW, she would do that. In WWE wasn't the case. We've had women do that many times over the years. We had it, even with Judgment Day at times. So Maxine Dupree gets in front of Austin Theory, and she's face-to-face with Otis. And as you could see in the picture, this was the outcome. Otis is looking at Maxine Dupree. Maxine Dupree is saying something very, very soft. And Maxine Dupree has glassy eyes, not because she was drunk, but because this was emotional, because she's been with that group for a long time. And this is a split, and it is emotional because these people travel up and down the road together. So, some of the emotions were real because, these are friends working. So she's got glassy eyes, which makes it look even better. And she looks like she's about to kiss Otis. And Otis kind of closes his eyes and he thinks he's going to get the Mandy Rose kiss. And then next thing you know, Austin Theory just low blows him in the nuts. We didn't see the nut shot, but he did a number on Otis. And then Maxine Dupree gives Austin Theory brass knucks, and he knocks Otis out with the brass knucks. And just to keep it, for safekeeping and the little icing on the cake, Tozawa finally gets back in the ring and tries to get involved, but ate one of the most vicious spears that I've ever seen Bron Breakker do. There was one point at the end of this segment where Austin Theory was holding up Otis, and Bron Breakker started running the ropes to hit the spear. I honestly, I'm not just saying this. I'm not like that nitwit Fade on X that writes that everything's epic, amazing, unbelievable, but I will say this, and I mean this. I think Bron Breakker ran the fastest he's ever run the ropes tonight on Raw. You go watch him run those ropes right before he speared Otis. I was blown away how fast he was running. But when he speared Otis and took Austin Theory out along with him, that's how much this momentum went with that spear. But they left Otis laying. Now, of course, we expect Alpha Academy to get a title shot against Division, which is going to go nowhere. And, you realize this tag team division on Raw sucks. If we're being honest, this tag team division on Raw sucks. The Street Profits are, and it's weird because now you got Big Kaz and Enzo returning, and it's going to be interesting to see who they mingle with. And then it's like, all right, are they possibly going to now become the focal point, and the Street Profits are going to take a little bit of a backseat already? And you look at outside of that, Jaden McDonough and Dominic is a fun tag team, but Dominic is the mega campeon, and he's got a lot to do there. This tag team division sucks on Raw, if I may say so. But then something else. Later on, we get this little backstage segment. Paul Heyman wasn't out there during all of this. And they kind of confront Paul Heyman, why he wasn't out there with him. And Paul Heyman looks at them and says, "You don't need me. You got Maxine." And Bron Breakker's got a weird look. I mean, it's not in this photo, but if you go back and you watch it, I guess in storyline, he didn't even know exactly how to react to this. Now, personally, I think the reason why they're doing this right now is because they want Paul Heyman totally dedicated to Brock Lesnar. And who knows? Could we get a swerve in the near future where Paul Heyman becomes the advocate for Obafemi? Nothing is out of the question. I'm not saying it's going to happen very soon, but I think at some point in Obafemi's career, Paul Heyman will be his advocate. Paul Heyman will be the manager for Obafemi. I don't know when. I don't know the scenario that would make it really make sense, but it's going to happen. But for now, I think they just want to dedicate Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar for the next couple of weeks. then we see where it goes from here. It's going to be interesting to see where this this goes ahead with Maxine Dupree. I almost feel like down the line we may get a storyline where Maxine Dupree like goes with Bron Breakker, and kind of like ruins Austin Theory. Like you could kind of see. I don't know about Logan Paul. I just don't, for some reason, don't see Logan Paul doing a role like that. But I could see something down the line when Maxine Dupree maybe cheats on Austin Theory with Bron Breakker or something. So that was the segment we got there. Now, very quickly, we didn't have any match planned, so I had to get these screenshots together of just individuals. We had a segment on Raw tonight involving LA Knight, Royce Keys, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Jimmy Uso. Jay, busy talking to divorce lawyers. So during a commercial break, somehow we end up getting an impromptu match with Royce Keys and Jimmy Uso. This ends in a no contest. And basically, what ends up happening is Jacob Fatu shows up, goes through the crowd and attacks Royce Keys. Referee throws the match out. After the match is over, Jacob Fatu brings a folding chair in the ring, and if you've not seen LA Knight's new merchandise, and it has a design with him holding a folded chair, so whenever you see chairs, you probably get the LA Knight's music hit. Just reminding everyone. So Jacob brings a chair in the ring, hits Royce with it, wraps it around Royce Keys' head. All of a sudden, Solo Sikoa shows up and tells Jacob Fatu to stop. And Solo says that he understands now. He was lost. He left his family. He was being dumb. He always knew that blood is thicker than water. Please stop. I'm coming home to the bloodline. So they pose in the middle of the ring. And I like the way they did it. But you have Jacob Fatu and you have Solo Sikoa and you have Jimmy Uso standing in the ring. Jacob and Jimmy have their fingers in the air doing the ones. And Solo Sikoa takes his thumb. And we know what Solo Sikoa likes to do with his thumb. I'll give you a hint. It's not what Ricochet does with his thumb. He hits the spike to Jimmy Uso. So now you have all this shit going on. And LA Knight, his music hits. He owes a receipt to both Jimmy and Jacob Fatu, tells him to get in the ring, and he wants them along with Jey Uso, and he realizes now he doesn't have to take them on by himself. So the challenge is made, the challenge is accepted. You're going to get Jacob Fatu and the Usos taking on Royce Keys, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam. When they say very nice, very evil, very random. Very random. So that's what we got there. Next. Why is this not on SummerSlam? I don't get. Why is this not a New York City street fight at Madison Square Garden? I don't get. I mean, listen, performing in Madison Square Garden is a wonderful thing to be able to do. So it is special. So even though this is not a SummerSlam match, and who knows, maybe based on what happens at Saturday night's main event, maybe they do have a rematch at SummerSlam. But right now, that's not happening. Bayley comes out to the ring. She doesn't beat around the bush. She tells Lyra, get out of here. And, what's kind of funny about Lyra is, if you remember last week, we were paying attention how her face, no makeup, looks like she's been on the CM Punk sleep diet, that she hasn't slept in months, looks all like crazy in the face. But now we realize that not only is being upset at Bayley make you lose sleep and crazy in the face, but it makes you homeless too. It makes you look like you're from that area in Pennsylvania where everybody's like just zombies and doing drugs. She comes to the ring with all ripped up clothes, and she looks like, my God, she just looks like a drug addict. There's no other way to put it. And she starts throwing a lot of shade to Bayley's way. You held me back for a year. Bayley, you drag everybody down that you work with. You are the worst of the 4 horsewomen. And Bayley goes into this rah-rah speech for herself, brings up some of her accolades, the Grand Slam shit and everything like that. And she's going to add another accomplishment to her resume. She's going to beat the shit. She didn't say shit, but she's going to beat the shit out of Lyra Vicaria at Saturday night's main event. So suddenly Lyra goes for a cheap shot. We get a little bit of a brawl. And what ends up happening is Lyra hits Bayley with a Bayley to belly, leaves her laying. I don't know what they're trying to do with Lyra's character. Being obsessed and losing sleep, fine. Coming out there looking like she hasn't showered in a month, wearing ripped up clothes, looking like she's from Kensington. It's like, where does that come from? Like, you turn heel and suddenly you're a drug addict? Oof. The look is great, don't get me wrong. But who was it? Who was it that we thought early on would have been great as like a crackhead? I don't know if it was the early days of the Judgment Day. There was a group, and I don't think it was the Wyatt Six either. There was a group that we thought a woman would have. I don't know if it was Caitlyn, but I remember years back we said that this person should come back like disheveled, like a drug addict, almost like. And I don't remember what it was, but they never did it. But this character looks great for a different storyline and a different gimmick. It just came out of left field when it comes to the Bayley stuff. But I'm not complaining. Lyra has been a heel in the past in her indie wrestling career. She could pull it off. And we'll see where it goes. But that's confirmed for Saturday night's main event. Definitely was not the Flock. Definitely was not the Flock. This was within the last 10 years. There was a group. Oh, you know what group I think it was? Maybe it was, I don't know if it was Sanity. There was a group, and I don't think it was Nikki Cross either. Maybe I thought Nikki Cross should become disheveled. There was something with Nikki Cross. Maybe we thought the group Sanity was coming back to TV, or, something there. Maybe that's what, I got to do a little research on my old shows. Might have been that. Maybe it was Nikki Cross, and maybe it had to do with Sanity. I think that might have been it. So, all right. So let's start bringing this home. We get a whole bunch of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns hype videos. Take a shot every time they bring up the Shield stuff. 14 years in the making. 2 years ago was 12 years in the making. 3 years ago was 11 years in the making. Now it's 14 years in the making. We get the gauntlet match to determine who's going to face Penta for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. And again, the perception that Joe Hendry's getting jobbed out is quite interesting because this was his first singles loss since being on the main roster. But this is the order of how everybody won and lost. I know a lot of reports during the day said that Chad Gable was running the table. That's why you don't believe a lot of reports that come out. Dominic Mysterio beats Joe Hendry clean, sort of. Jada McDonough's at ringside. Jada McDonough doing some antics. For some reason, Danhausen didn't give a shit about Joe Hendry. Just think about that. Danhausen didn't give a fuck about Joe Hendry. Stood in the back the whole time. Joe Hendry loses clean. So Dominic advances. Then you add Javon Evans next, and he defeats Dominic Mysterio. And this had the potential to be a lot better than what it was, but if I were being honest here, it was a hot mess. Dominic is having a banger with Javon Evans, and Javon Evans was probably the MVP of this whole gauntlet. Javon Evans and Dom are having a nice little schmaz going on. Next thing you know, Danhausen's entrance hits. He comes out there with his fucking little truck vehicle, whatever it is. And JD McDonough immediately walks up the rampway. So Danhausen looks at Dominic Mysterio. Dominic climbed the turnbuckle, I think, to do a frog splash. And Danhausen sees Dominic, and he does with the fans, "You are cursed." And as soon as he says cursed, the fucking ring post lets out one of those cane flames, if you remember from back in the day. But it's the wrong ring post. It hits the ring post furthest away from Dominic. So Dominic's looking over, is like, "You didn't do nothing." So Danhausen's like, "Foiled." Like, he didn't say fuck, but he's like, "Foiled." And Danhausen screwed up. That's what Danhausen does. You know, a lot of these failed attempts. So here's where it was a hot mess. JD McDonough walks up the rampway because they have the Saturday night's main event match this Saturday. And Danhausen has got this weapon. Maybe it shoots T-shirts or whatever, but it looks like a little flamethrower. And he's got it pointed at JD. Dominic really wasn't paying attention at what was going on with JD. Dominic just turns around and eats an OG cutter and loses. And it was just a hot mess because Dominic really wasn't paying that much attention to what JD was doing. As far as I know, Danhausen didn't do anything to JD. Maybe I missed something there. But Javon Evans advances. So next you have what was probably the best match of the whole gauntlet. Javon Evans beats Dragon Lee. This was wild. These two guys work great together. Javon Evans just did an interview talking about who he would love his Survivor Series team to be. I think we're going to have some fun this weekend. Everybody who's live will choose, if you had any of your choices on the main roster, pick 5 members of the WWE roster you would want in your Survivor Series team. Who would it be? Or if you could choose 5 wrestlers ever, who would be your 5 teammates to be in Survivor Series with you? One of the persons that Javon Evans chose was Dragon Lee. And these two guys tore it up today. Crowd was losing their minds. This is awesome chance. There was one point where Javon Evans dove and kind of went over the barricade into the fans. But what ends up happening is towards the end of the match, Dragon Lee's getting a little bit of upper hand, attempts the Styles Clash, but Javon Evans turned it into a fruit roll-up. So Javon Evans advances again. Unfortunately, though, Rusev blindsides him from the back. And they would go on to have a good 5-6 minutes. But in the end, Rusev beats Javon Evans. Puts him with an accolade to the point where Javon Evans did not tap. He was just unconscious. Referee decision, even though they didn't announce it that way. So Rusev then faces Chad Gable. And this was a physical match. Chad Gable beats Rusev with the fruit roll-up, another roll-up. And then the final participant is Ethan Page, and Chad Gable goes on and beats Ethan Page with the ankle lock. So Chad Gable is your winner. He will go on to face Penta for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. But one thing I noticed today, I don't know if you guys noticed this, and I don't think it's just me when I say this. We had a confrontation in the ring. Handshake with Penta and Chad Gable. And as I'm looking at these two guys, I said to myself, Self, when Penta's not in his wrestling gear, he is as tall as a vanilla midget. Is it just me, or does it Penta seem very, very short? I mean, Chad Gable is not the shortest person around, but Chad Gable is not 6'4". Penta always seems to come up, maybe because he's super thin, but with his outfit, when he's wearing street clothes, to me, Penta looks small. He looks small. I mean, I know he's got his head bent a little, but he is short. Benjamin says Penta is billed at 5'11", and Chad is billed at 5'8". I don't know about that, man. I mean, that could be because Chad is wearing boots and Penta is wearing sneakers. But I don't know, man. Penta looks short. Looks very short. And his legs, oh my God. If you remember when Kurt Angle had the atrophy in his arms in TNA, that's what Penta's legs look like. Penta's legs look small. I don't know. I don't know, it's just me, but Penta looks small. He looks small. You're killing me, Smalls. All right, so that leaves us with the contract signing. And listen, we opened up talking about it. Not much to add to it. All I will say is you realized that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins have said everything they possibly could say about each other over the years. And there's not much else you could say. And when Seth signed the contract and walked off and was teasing like Roman never shows up for work, like Roman is like, that's it? That's all you have to say? And, like, I'm like, okay, I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with this. Are they going to bring up Seth Rollins not having the balls in the family? Because Becky is the man. Are they going to bring up more Shield shit? But now it's Roman is talking trash to Seth that he calls him number two. Number two. And believe it or not, I think that could stick, but number two. You're number two. And he says, you know how I know you're number two? Because you need a briefcase to win a championship. He even says like Triple H, is his daddy. Like even Triple H runs this company. And Seth is still number two. Says, what are you going to do? Seth, let's say you do beat me. What are you going to do? You're going to hold the belt for a few months and then you're going to get injured. And when Seth said, is that the best you could do? That's all you got? And I'm saying to myself, yeah, Roman, is that all you got? Like, where do you go from here? And Roman is just like doing his, this is the only part of Roman that I can't stand, when he tries to like be funny and he tries to laugh at his own jokes and it just doesn't hit. And he's trying to throw darts at Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins does this rah-rah speech about himself that for 15 years and this and that, and I've worked really hard in 15 years and this and that, and I blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that pumps you up. And at the end, it's the same shit every time. Like, there was nothing different. No real cheap shots. Even when Roman said, like, in the promo, when they were doing the video package, like, the Shield didn't need to end, that Seth is the one that ended it. Like, how many times have we been fed that? This is not a match that I think people really were looking forward to see. Don't get me wrong. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns will go balls out in this match. The match will not suck. And I think the people who are paying to go to SummerSlam will have a great time. But I'm just not interested. After seeing the WrestleMania stuff, the tag team match, you know, even when fucking they did teasers of the Shield being together, being apart. It's like, just when you think they'll stop bringing that shit up, they bring it right back again. Like, we're still talking about Shield. We're still talking about Bloodline. You know, they're still teasing, like, dissension with Roxanne Perez and Liv Morgan, which I think there's going to be a split within a month or two. I hope this doesn't turn into another Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio bullshit. But, you know, nothing seems really fresh. Even the Io Sky, Liv Morgan stuff doesn't seem fresh. This Vision stuff, I don't care about Otis and Tozawa. Like, we're supposed to feel bad that Maxine Dupree left them. It's still Otis and Tozawa. Like, they're not high in the food chain. I mean, you know, if I'm management and I want them to get really emotional tonight, I would have said to Otis and Tozawa, like, when you're in that ring with Maxine Dupree, pretend that's Ari Emanuel. Pretend that's TKO. And they're dangling your contract future in front of you. And you realize that you're done. You're history. You know, get emotional. You're like, that's your meal ticket. Like, when suddenly the Maxine Dupree, with all due respect, people care that much? I think it's just more that she's with Austin Theory than anything else. But at the end of the day, it's still Maxine Dupree. It's still Alpha Academy. I don't care. They fought the Usos. Remember when the Usos had their tag team title run recently? And I think their first title defense was against Alpha Academy. Why? These motherfuckers haven't won on television in 3 years. Go look it up. Go look at Alpha Academy's Raw record in the last couple of years. It'll blow you away. This is, to quote Seth Rollins tonight, this is the best you got? This is all you got? So I thought Raw overall was a decent show for a Monday night. For the build for SummerSlam, Brock and Oba did it for me. Chad Gable and Penta, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, even if Chad would have win the title, it doesn't feel like the fans have fully picked up where they left off with Chad Gable prior to his injury. And I just don't feel that WWE sees, like, there was a point that we thought that Chad Gable was going to fight for the world championship. A couple of years ago, Sammy Hogan, as people said at the time, cost Chad Gable his IC championship, if you remember that match. So, yeah, we come full circle for Chad Gable, but still, it doesn't feel like WWE is starting to, you know, elevate him to a different level. You know, you can have someone win matches and have him win regularly on TV, but there's also a feeling, an aura about someone that you could sense. Like, okay, I think WWE is doing something here. All right, I feel something going on. I don't know what it is, but something is building. You could sense it. You could feel it. And I certainly don't feel it with Chad Gable right now. And again, we only have 6 matches announced. So right now, for those that are interested, for SummerSlam, your updated lineup is CM Punk defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes. Penta will defend the Intercontinental Championship against Chad Gable. Roman Reigns will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins. Liv Morgan will defend the Women's World Championship against Io Sky. The Usos and Jacob Fatu will take on LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys. And Obafemi will battle Brock Lesnar in Hell in a Cell. If that SummerSlam was one night and they add one more good match to this, that would be a solid night. That is a great card for one night. Not to divide it into 2 and then give us what we think they're going to give us at SummerSlam. This is a great card, almost complete card for one night, not for two. So that is your lineup right now. Now, Saturday night's main event, for those that are interested, I don't know, man. This felt very lackluster online, too. Jalen Brunson and some Knicks players are going to be at Saturday night's main event. Don't forget, this is the same weekend as Fanatics, and several Knicks players are appearing at Fanatics. So the story online is that Roman Reigns invited Jalen Brunson to Saturday night's main event. And if you look at the exchange online, forgive me if I think that Jalen Brunson don't give a fuck at all. Because all he wrote was, I'll see you there. And I'm like, that's it? That's it? That's it? I'll see you there. I mean, far as I know, Roman Reigns is not scheduled to be at Saturday night's main event. They're not advertising him appearing there. I mean, I know there's that banner with Jalen Brunson, but I don't know what the hell they're going to do there. But right now, your lineup for Saturday night's main event, you have 4 matches announced. We'll probably get one more. We got Danhausen taking on Jaden McDonough. As of right now, no stipulation, no special details about the match, just strictly one-on-one. Paige and Brie Bella will defend the WWE Women's Tag Team titles against Lainey Reed and Fallon Henley. Fatal Influence. Bayley will take on Lyra Vicaria. Right now, just a one-on-one match. Cody Rhodes will team up with CM Punk to take on Gunther and Sami Zayn. That is what you have right now. Now, we will do predictions for Saturday night's main event on Wednesday. I'm hoping that they add an additional match between now and Wednesday, but we will definitely do predictions on Wednesday. We'll get into betting odds and all that shit as well. But I do expect them to add at least one more match, even if they are going to do a skit and something with the Knicks players. And plus, look, it's the Garden. Obviously, it's going to be a New York crowd. Knicks will be over like crazy. But, you know, for the casual wrestling fan out there, you know, I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal unless you involve some other NBA players, too. I think of Tyrese Halliburton, who is going to be at Fanatics. So you might be able to do something there. Also, for anybody that's interested that might be attending Fanatics, they announced this tonight. Cody Rhodes will be interviewing Tom Brady. Now, remember, Tom Brady, they've been teasing something with Logan Paul that never really developed into anything as far as WWE goes. There are some projects. I don't know if that cooking one ever came off the ground with the Usos that Tom Brady was involved in, but Tom Brady will be on Cody Rhodes' podcast. I have no interest in seeing that. I'm not a fan of Tom Brady, obviously, if I'm a Giants fan, but all right. Before we start bringing this home, we got a couple of news tidbits still, a couple of random things, but I want to get into a couple of super shout outs. If you don't mind, they help us pay the bills a little bit. Mikey Ravello, thank you very much, my friend. Any chance they still do Gunther versus Nick Aldis at SummerSlam? It's still possible. You know, the funny thing is, I'm going to talk about it Wednesday because I want to get the NWA card that they have coming up. Billy Corgan did an interview, I think, today on Busted Open. And boy, did he gush over Triple H and Nick Khan. And it was just weird. I thought it was sarcasm. When I read the early transcript, I thought he was being sarcastic. Because I know of no relationship with NWA and WWE at all. but I know Natty is supposed to appear. And I'm wondering, like, is he basing this just because Natty is going to be on their show? Like, I got to see if there's something more going on, because I don't believe there is. This just might be a case, and I'm sorry for saying this because I'm a big supporter of Vince Russo. I still am part of his Patreon, probably longer than anyone else. But I'll say it like this. You remember when Tony Khan appeared on Vince Russo's podcast? And Vince Russo immediately thought that maybe they can do business together in the future with something. Like, you had a good conversation. You know, leave it at that. Like, he immediately thought that this could lead to bigger and better things. It almost feels like the same way with Billy Corgan, that WWE allowed Natty to work the show, and suddenly Billy Corgan thinks that this is going to lead to bigger and better things. To me, NWA is still dead. Still never recovered fully from the pandemic. It's amazing to look back as to how many places were covering NWA prior to the pandemic. And after the pandemic, it was a micro, it was just a fraction of what the coverage used to be. So many people left. And I give NWA credit for letting people exit, but it's a shell of what it used to be. So, Gunther versus Nick Aldis, I would like to see it. It doesn't feel like WWE is going out of their way to make us want to see that match. Like, I get it, Nick Aldis is still having friction with Gunther. But here's the thing. If Nick Aldis is now once again GM, he's not supposed to get physical. So why bring him back in that role and then you tease that he's going to get physical, which he's not supposed to do? You're not supposed to put your hands on anyone. Remember? You're not supposed to put your hands on it. Remember the Adam Pearce, Braun Breaker stuff? He put his hands on Braun Breaker. You're not supposed to do that. So why reintroduce Nick Aldis as the GM if he's going to end up wrestling at SummerSlam after all? So something has to develop on Friday, in my opinion. There's still 3 SmackDowns left, but I personally think unless something substantial happens Friday, I wouldn't even say Saturday. Because for all we know, Gunther and Sami Zayn could end up becoming a regular tag team, or they can end up having dissension also. Gunther and Sami Zayn as a regular tag team would be kind of interesting. But as of right now, I say anything is possible, but WWE has not done enough for us to think that, people really want to see this. I think hardcore wrestling fans and people who followed Nick Aldis in the past, or people that love pure wrestling, I think they would like to see that. Thing is, though, is if Gunther and Nick Aldis hate each other that much, who wants to see a wrestling clinic? Unless somebody wants to embarrass the other person, I'm going to out-wrestle you. Okay, I could actually see that. But we need time for it to build, and there's no build. There's no build. I wish they would do more with Gunther. But the fact is, look at the last 16, 17 months. It's just, Gunther, I don't know how he feels about the last 16, 17 months. He's had some great moments, don't get me wrong. But, boy, you look at the 16, 17 months prior to the past 16, 17 months, it's a much different scenario with Gunther. Thank you for that. Rojo Bear, he could care less for Roman and Seth having a feud. Even after watching their segment, he really hopes Cody Rhodes and CM Punk main event night 2. I honestly don't expect that to happen. I agree with you. I think CM Punk is doing, if we're being honest, over the last, I don't want to say 6 months. I would say for the last 9 months, I think CM Punk probably had the best run of any world champion. I think he had a better run than Cody Rhodes. I think he had a better run. Can't really say John Cena because John Cena lost it a year ago. Roman Reigns, 2 Jacob Fatu matches. That's it so far. I think CM Punk did the most with the championship. And I think he has earned the right to main event night 2. But I just feel that WWE is going to go the other route unless something major is planned. Some people are holding out hope for Cody's heel turn, which I still don't buy for the reasons I've given already. But it just feels like Roman, Seth closing out night 2 kind of feels like that's where they're going with this. I mean, by next week, we need to know what main event's what. I'm telling you, I think some people are holding out from buying tickets because they want to know what's going to main event each one. Now, listen, if I'm a betting person, Roman and Seth are closing night 2. But I think there's some people out there that maybe don't want to see that match. And they want to make certain that it's going to close out night 2 so they could order tickets for night 1. I think you need to start putting out what night each card is going to be. And there's a reason why I haven't done that yet. Because if they divide these up into 2 nights, there's only going to be 3 matches on each card. And the IWC and the news world will rip that apart. They'll tear that ass up. Just imagine if WWE tonight announced which matches so far are going to be on each night. You'll have every motherfucker say, there's only 3 matches announced for each night. Oh my God. Who the hell's going to pay that in advance? There's only 3 matches. So by showing 6, it looks bigger. But when you realize it, it's 2 nights. This would have been a great card for 1 night. Thank you for that. Craig Rode Jr. What's up, Craig? He's new to wrestling. Why do the house shows he's seen online seem to be more fun than Raw or SmackDown? And did I see the prices for the Edinburgh NXT event? Edinburgh. I have not seen the ticket prices for NXT Edinburgh, but if I can pull it up really quickly, I will tell you right now what these ticket prices look like. They're ranging between $30 to $100. That's for Heat Wave. Oh, wait, well, here's the thing. I'm not defending WWE or criticizing. I'm going to say it like this. If I understand this correctly, you get Heat Wave plus AAA. Now, AAA will just be a TV taping, but keep in mind, this is the road to for Triple Mania. So they're planning some big things for that weekend. And I think that's going head-to-head with All In. So it's going head-to-head with AEW. That I know. So if you're going to get NXT Heatwave plus an hour and a half for AAA, it's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's Edinburgh, Texas, by the way. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, understand though, the secondary market, some people are trying to profit big over this. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the tickets are $500. I'm looking at Vivid Seats right now, and for Vivid Seats, they have tickets as, oh my God, $687. Yeah, that's the secondary market. That's some people out there that are looking for suckers. There are some tickets for the floor seats for $600 something. I mean, that's crazy. I wouldn't pay. The most I would pay if I got good floor seats, not necessarily first couple of rows, if I got good floor seats, I would pay $150, $150. That's the most I would pay, not $600. No way. Unless I got to take a picture with El Grande Americano and, got to take home a chair and got some other shit. But you're talking NXT at the end of the day. So, and as far as house shows go, house shows are much more relaxed. Wrestlers have longer matches. There's no commercial breaks. There's no sponsors, so to speak. And it's much more personal. You could let your guard down. It's not, as scripted. It may not be so much storyline driven. Sometimes people will have matches at house shows to set up a future feud. That's why I always pay attention to house shows. Case in point, they just had an event in New Mexico. I know, unfortunately, the Newswire dominated CM Punk not signing an autograph for a fan in a hotel, which, honestly, if you saw that story, I didn't even share the video. It's a terrible video. It doesn't even show footage of CM Punk walking away or saying no, but what an asshole of a mother, put that out there. You didn't get what you want, and you put the video online to make the person look like an asshole. That's the mother version of Pom Pom Girl. These people feel so fucking entitled. I get it. You have a kid, and your kid loves a particular wrestler, and the wrestler is at the hotel. Yeah, I could understand why you want to try to get your kid to meet the wrestler. But if the wrestler is tired or is with family or doesn't want to be bothered, yeah, that wrestler may come off as an asshole. But to turn around and film your kid upset, almost crying, and put it online, I'm like, I don't even want to say what I want to say. I hate fucking people like that. I hate people like that, especially the ones we saw in New York City towards Dominic and Oba, for people I remember, for the kids. Come on, John, for the kids. Fuck you and your kids. Like Brock Lesnar to Heath Slater. Fuck your kids. People like that, I get, I've seen it with my own eyes. If any of you that's been on my Patreon, I've told this story before. If anybody remembers the movie The Good Shepherd, starring Matt Damon, Joe Pesci was in it and others. All right, I have, maybe one day I'll share it with everybody on a Sunday if you're interested. I have about 40 minutes of video. Robert De Niro filmed a scene from The Good Shepherd on my parents' block. They wanted to use my parents' house in the movie. And my father turned it down because they wanted to knock down walls, rebuild something, film the scene, build it back, and give him like $1,500. He's like, I don't want all that work done just for that. What my father did agree to was he let Robert De Niro keep all the production equipment in our garage, in our house, and they directed the scenes in our driveway. So you see me for 40 minutes with my camcorder on my stoop, and Robert De Niro's literally sitting 8 feet in front of me, producing scenes. And my father said to Robert De Niro, he's like, look, he's like, do me a favor. At the time, my nieces were like 6, and one of them had a crush on Matt Damon. And my father said to Robert De Niro, he's like, look, he says, I don't want no money. You can have your trucks here and everything. All I ask is that after the filming is done, can my family meet everybody? And he's like, sure, no problem. And he was cool. Matt Damon was cool. Everybody was cool. Joe Pesci fucking snuck into a car and drove away. But it's surreal to literally sit and here's Robert De Niro in your driveway directing movie scenes. But my father said it in a polite way. And if Robert De Niro said, listen, Nick, because they knew each other, but he's like, Nick, I can't do that. These guys, I can't control what they do. This is like, I'll try, but, whatever happens, happens. If they don't show up, fine. Joe Pesci was a dick only because Joe Pesci said that he was going to stay around. He told everybody, he's like, yeah, after the scene, I will stay around. Like they were in the back having drinks by my father's pool. And everybody's looking around for Joe Pesci, and somebody said they saw him sneak into a car and drive off. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But don't say to a kid, yeah, I'll do it, and then you disappear. That's where the person's wrong. But we had no right to get something. And I hate when people put that shit online. You know, that woman, I don't want to use the words I want to use, but asshole is probably the lightest word I would use. But when you look at these house show results, Trick Williams over Carmelo Hayes, obviously that's a match they want to build for, you know, maybe a future pay-per-view or something. Chad Gable over Rusev, obviously working on matches, plus, you know, it's not just the gauntlet, but Chad Gable getting decisive wins against the heel Rusev right now is great for house shows. CM Punk teamed up with Cody, and they beat Gunther and Ricky Saints. Now, obviously, Sammy wasn't part of that. I wish they would have done a storyline where Sammy just walks out and says, I'm not fighting, and then Ricky Saints takes the spot instead. Maybe they even did something like that, but what does this tell you? They're practicing doing spots to see what works. And doing it on a house show is the safest place to do it, even when there is footage of it. You get to try things out, to test things, to see, you know, how somebody works in a match. You might do something that the fans really, really pop for. And like, oh, I think we got to do that again. Not every match is designed to set up something for the future, but with house shows, most of the time there's no titles on the line. And even if there was, it is extremely, extremely, extremely rare for a title change to happen at a house show. It does happen once every couple of years, but house shows are where you get your work in, test things out, experiment, have a much more relaxed environment. No pressure, no TV programming, it's just a much, much looser environment. And fans love it. What fans don't love is paying insane amounts of money for house shows. I have not paid attention to a lot of the ticket prices for WWE house shows because a lot of them have been European tours. You don't get too many house shows in the United States, but I'm going to look into the ticket prices just to see kind of the cost. But it is notoriously cheaper. Because, look at this. I'm taking a sip from the fucking handle. Yeah, that's going to work. That worked great. I look like Ronda Rousey drinking a water bottle. Only difference is, Ronda, I didn't do drugs. She only did weed. Thank you very much, by the way. And listen, if you're new to wrestling, if I give you one piece of advice, don't take the IWC too seriously. If you have a take on something or you like something or you dislike something, there's always going to be people there that'll spoil it or try to poo-poo on it. You just enjoy what you enjoy, focus on the things you like, gravitate to the people that have similar, attitudes as you. Even if they don't like the same, you can, mingle back and forth and debate. Me, I've been watching wrestling far too long, but I go back at a time where there was no internet. And it'd be fun to hang out with my friends and talk shit about wrestling. I was a diehard Hulkamaniac growing up. Some of my friends were hardcore Roddy Piper fans. We had different people that we enjoyed, and we would have fun with each other, and sometimes you have bragging rights too. Even when you had the Monday Night Wars, the internet was a baby in 1995. But still, with the Monday Night Wars, you had some fans that were hardcore WCW and some that were WWF, and you look at the ratings back and forth, and at that time, it would be like 3.2 to 3.0, and you'd have these weird bragging rights, but no maliciousness. Unfortunately, there's too many people online that are very, very malicious and take things way too seriously. But I think you'll enjoy it. Smiley, do I still have the El Grande Italiano mask? Yeah, it's right there. Right here. It's right here. There it is. DM stands for Deli Man. And the real El Grande Americano mask is over there too. Trust me, I would love to do the Deli Man thing again. So I'm telling you, if anybody wants to book Deli Man, I still got my salami ready to go. It's this thing weighs about 10 pounds. This is a very heavy item. I still got my deli outfit. Thank you for that, Smiley. All right. See what else we got here. Oh, Danhausen wrestled Kit Wilson on that house show too. Comedy stuff. Charlotte Flair wrestled a couple of times. They just did the injury angle with Alexa Bliss to give her some time off. I think Becky Lynch will be making a return very, very soon. Do they interject Becky Lynch in the Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins feud? I don't think so, because Roman Reigns don't have a significant other that's involved in wrestling. But it'd be interesting to see if she somehow has some input with this. I don't think she will, but she is close to a return. All right. Just to bring this home, just a random thing you might be interested in, you might not be. I think this is interesting for one particular reason. The WWE Jet. The WWE Jet. What the hell do I have on my screen? There we go. The WWE Jet is up for sale. Here's an interesting little picture that you might find that I found in my old hard drive. Back in 2008, I think it was. 2008, around that time period, WWE was touting that they were buying this jet. And that's the picture of the jet, I think, when they first purchased it. Now, obviously, they changed the color and they paint. Don't ask me why there's a picture of CM Punk there. But they painted it. They changed the color of it. That's the jet on the tarmac. That's the jet in the air. They are selling that jet. That jet is from 2008. As far as I know, they paid around 30 to 35 million when they first bought it. Now that jet is obviously 18 years old, but it still runs. All right, and this is an actual picture of the cockpit of the jet. This is what it looks like inside. It seats, I think, 12 or 13 people. It's a very small private jet. Logan Paul is teasing buying it. I don't think he will, but they are looking right now for, I believe, $10,875,000, almost $11 million they're looking for it. That's about book value, so to speak, for those planes. I put a link on my X if anybody wants to see the original classified. If you notice, a lot of news people today writing their exclusives like WWE will remove their logos once they sell it. They literally read it from the classified and didn't even give you a link for the classified. I mean, none of us are buying the plane, obviously, but you would think that they would at least, they want credit for their sources. Put the source of the classified link. If you want to see a bunch more pictures of the plane, it's a beautiful plane. It is a beautiful looking plane. But what I find very interesting about it is they're getting rid of their corporate plane. They don't have the need for it. What's also interesting is if you do a little bit more research online, you will find that corporate jet is not used much at all. That jet is used more to fly to the West Coast than anything else. I'm not saying that it's not used at all, but it's not used anywhere near as much as you think. If you look at the amount of hours used and you look at some of the flight plans, because there is public information when the planes are, there's flight logs and everything. You can't just simply like, hey, let's go on a jet ride for an hour. Everything is logged and everything is documented. And if you do some research online, you'll see that jet is not used that much. And TKO, I guess, feels that, what do you need a private plane for? Nick Khan, Triple H, they could fly business class. So as far as I know, they're not getting another plane. That could obviously change, or maybe TKO has their own plane and maybe the WWE plane is not needed, especially when you think that they're billions upon billions of worth. What the hell is $10 million? Seriously, think about it. Like $10 million is nothing, but they're selling the plane. They are selling the plane. All right. I think we could start bringing this home. We ran almost 2.5 hours, which I expected this to be. Yeah, as far as wrestling news, I think we got into everything that we needed to. I appreciate all the feedback about Sheamus. Again, it's not a shot on Sheamus, but again, if you look at his list of matches, the total matches he's had, it's pretty eye-opening that he signed a 5-year contract extension in 2024. And he has had the lowest matches of his career, not only in 2024, but 2025. And then when you add in the fact that he has not even had a match in 2026, this guy has had 55 matches in 3 years. And he signed for a nice, hefty, fat contract. So, in my opinion, TKO wanting to restructure it makes a whole lot of sense. Hey, Sheamus, with all due respect, you signed a 5-year extension in 2024 and you're fucking wrestling only 29 times. 10 years earlier, you were wrestling 10 times that amount. Like if you only get to work 20 matches, you didn't even wrestle this year. We paid you for 7 months. You didn't even wrestle this year. I mean, not to try to be a jerk, but doesn't that kind of come off a little selfish on Sheamus's part that he refused to renegotiate his deal? No, fella. I signed that deal in 2024, fella. Now you're going to pay me 90 days, fella. 90 days on top of it. So I'm going to get paid almost a whole year's salary doing nothing. I mean, you would think that the guy would, I'm not saying that he should give money back, but you would think since 2024, you have done a fraction of what you were doing. And you don't feel that your pay should be cut? I don't know. I mean, what do you think? What do you think? See, we at least presented stats to back it up. Guy hasn't wrestled yet this year. He's going to get paid a whole year doing nothing. I mean, that's 20% of his 5-year contract. So you got to realize at the end of 2026, he would have had 60% of that contract filled, and he wrestled less than what he would do normally, like within the 5 years prior. I don't feel bad for him at all. I think actually it might be, put it this way, unless he's looking to retire and he's looking to really work part-time, I think he's just being very, very cheap about it. So I think Odyssey Jones will be back, Chewy. I think he will be back. It's been proven that the guy did not commit any abuse on that woman. And I think that lawsuit is still going on. He's been doing some shit in Japan. I think Odyssey Jones absolutely has a chance to return to the WWE. Unfortunately, people keep bringing up Velveteen Dream here and there. I don't know if that will ever happen again. But Odyssey Jones, I do believe, will be back in the WWE. Personally, I think what Odyssey Jones needs to do is go to TNA. I think you go to TNA, continue, the reputation of, working good and showing that your size. Because listen, that helps Odyssey Jones. Bronson Reed dropping 80 pounds helps Odyssey Jones. Because Bronson Reed's going to come in and look like skinny. Odyssey Jones is going to stand out even more now because there's not many guys that are his size. You look at that company now, Braun Strowman's no longer there. Mark Henry is no longer wrestling. Bronson Reed is a fraction of what he is. Otis is on his way out. You start really breaking it down. You don't have as many big guys like that like you used to. Odyssey Jones, I think, has a chance to return. So, Charlie, there's no situation with Tommy Dreamer. Everything that we covered the last couple of weeks, nothing has changed. TNA got rid of him. And he downplayed it. and tried to cover up his horrible booking of Mike Santana last year at Slammiversary. And he got caught putting out fake attendance figures. Now, I don't think he's the one that originally came up with that idea. I think Carlos Silva was definitely a willing participant of it. But they put out those fake numbers to try to show everyone, you see, we were right. You guys thought that we were wrong not doing it in New York, but Bound for Glory drew even more. And then we found out that Bound for Glory drew 2,000 fans less. So there's nothing else to add to Dreamer. The situation with those other indie people, no one else has come out. So there's nothing else. Unless you want me to make up stuff. So, all right, everybody. I'm going to jet. Here in New York, it's almost 1:15 in the morning. I still got to type a synopsis. I still haven't even tackled that. I dare not to put it up without a synopsis. Sometimes I get a little lazy. You know, if the synopsis seems a little bit too much for this week, we'll just put it up as is. But Wednesday, we'll be back with Wednesday Night Dynamite. I thank you all for the feedback from the theme, for the new theme for Wednesday. That theme is mine, and it passes YouTube because I own the theme. I got in touch with someone today that is going to try to make me a video intro, and as some people asked, yes, the intro would only be a minute long. We're not going to have 10-minute intros and all that shit, but that horrible epic fail of AI that I tried to do with the women, that is still going to be the focal point of the intro. It'll just look good. So, but I'm pleasantly surprised that 95% of you love the music. I honestly thought that was horrible when I first heard it. Then I started adding more instruments, and it started to get like a 1980, 1982 vibe to it, which is a little newer than I wanted. But then I was like, you know, this actually isn't half bad. I'm kind of proud how the song came out. It's all made. You know, somebody set me up with a template, gave me the original, and I went and ran it through my programs and started adding instruments and matched beats up and was developing into something pretty good. So I might tweak it a little bit more, but I don't think I need to. And if you go to my X account, you could see the lyrics for that song. And those are the actual lyrics. I kid you not. It's pretty funny when you look at it. So, all right. Everyone, much love as always. Thank you for spending your Monday night with me. Whether you're live or on the archive, it is very much appreciated. Don't forget, keep supporting the website, wrestling-news.com. Download all the shows that we do because that not only helps us pay the bills, the shows are free, but it also keeps us relevant in the stats. You know, I want, by the end of next year, we want to get back into the top 10 or top 20 amongst all shows. And there is a cheap way to do it. I could come up and do a show every day. I could come up and do a live stream every day and then give you 10 files a week to download instead of 3. And that will spice up my numbers. And that's what a lot of people do. If you notice, the only person that I give credit to is Jim Cornette. Because Jim Cornette does 2 shows a week, and that's it. You don't take the show and divide it into 8 pieces. So you have to download 8 different things to get the whole sitting. You know, and he still is at the top of the list. There's a lot of people out there who will do a download every fucking day, sometimes 2 a day. And every time there's a separate file and you download it, that's a stat. So me, I like to put full-blown episodes out there. But sure, if I did a live stream every single day, let alone 2 times a day, yeah, we'd be in the top 10 like this because there's so many downloads people would have to download. But I guarantee you people would be a little bit tired of hearing my voice after ingesting that much. But by the end of next year, I think we'll be back in the top 20. I really do. But just authenticity. Say what you mean what you say. Have some nice discussion. Have a few goofy, lighthearted laughs along the way. Nothing malicious. That's the way it'll always be. So I get to sleep at night with no drama. No drama for the mama. So much love, everybody. I'm out of here. I'll catch you on the next one. And
as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be
that was awfully rude. My computer's like, hurry up. Hurry up. Be well, everybody. Much love. I'll catch you on the next one.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.